Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday morning Zoom class. We are going to start in a kneeling position and make a thick enough support so that you've got enough support underneath your sit bone. So if you have a triple folded blanket, you can even double that over. And when you kneel down, try and keep the feet parallel to each other so that the toes go straight back. Good. Now, if you're really having trouble with kneeling for some reason, maybe your knees or your ankles have been injured, then you could do something similar from the front of a chair. Sit right at the front of the chair and just one at a time and give the front of your foot a nice little stretch. So there's a little alternate movement. One at a time. Otherwise, kneeling on the floor. We're going to take the arms up by the ears. You take hold of your left wrist and gently lean over to your right side and draw that left arm longer. We feel the ribs opening on the left side, keeping the neck really relaxed. Yeah. Inhale and come up. And then we'll go to the left side. Hold on to your right wrist and reaching over to the left side. And inhale and come up. And release. Turning to the left side for a twist. Finding the breath and feeling as you exhale that ability for the ribs to move a little more, the shoulder blades to relax down. Tuning into the potential in the body, what is present. Good, and then release that side and turn to the right side. Again, looking for the exhalation. Noticing that you can turn the ribs a little more. Good work. And come back to center. Release. We're just going to take a few breaths here. Deeper breaths. And as you exhale, hold a pause at the end of the exhalation. Notice that warming nature, the pause. Back to your normal breath rhythm and come into an all pause position. With room behind to take your legs out straight. But we're going to start off with just the knees under the hips, shoulders over the wrists. Stretch the fingers out wide. Press the fingertips, base of the index finger. A little bit of rocking forward and back. And that's particularly to warm up the wrist to taking this weight. So face your elbow creases towards each other. Press out just a little bit above your elbows. And notice how your hands and wrists feel this morning. Really try to keep that weight in the fingertips, space of the index. I'm so appreciative for yoga to keep my hands healthy and dexterous and strong. Good. Now we're going to start to make that movement more exaggerated. So take the hips back, bend the elbows, and reach the breastbone forward. So we're making a sort of a wave movement. Hips go back, spine arches up, chin to the chest. Then as you come forward, you bend the elbows, bring the chest forward, lift the breastbone, and the lower back dips down, and then we reverse. Spine lifts up, hips to the heels, chin to the chest. Bend the elbows, lift the chin, lift the breastbone. Do a couple more. Good. And then we're going to take child's pose, stretching the knees out wider to accommodate space for the belly and the chest. Rest your forehead. If it doesn't reach the floor, you can use that rolled up blanket. Rest the arms beside you. Squeeze your fingers into a fist and release, and squeeze and release. And let the shoulders relax. Feel that satisfying, deeper breath in your back body, around your lower back, your kidney, the back of the lung. Stretch your arms all the way to the front of the mat, forward virasana. And then we're going to walk the hands over to the left side as far as you can. Really stretch through the right arm so that you can lengthen that right rib cage, right side of the torso. Deep and satisfying breath here. Coming back to the center and walk the hands over to the right side. The left arm really reaching. Good. And then back to the center. We're going to lift up onto all fours. Take your right hand and place it under your left arm and reach along the floor until you can lay your shoulder down on the floor. And again, if it doesn't reach, use your rolled up blanket under your shoulder. And just relax your left arm to wherever supports you the best. See if you can lay your shoulder down and rest your head. And feel this movement in your upper back. Keep the feet between. With each exhalation, relax into the shape a little more. Good, and then inhale and come up. And take the left arm under the right arm. Slide out as far as you can until your left shoulder is onto the floor. Right arm where it's comfortable, feet hip width. And letting the body really sink into this shape, however awkward. Sides of the neck even. Easeful. Find that deep and satisfying breath. Exhale and coming up. Nice work. We're going to take the elbows down onto the floor, walk the knees back, and start to drop the hips, but not quite to the floor. And we want to lift the pubic bone towards the belly button. Draw the shoulder blades back and look forward. Stretch the fingers out. Satisfying. Good, and then laying your torso down onto the floor, or your belly down onto the floor. We'll stay onto the elbows. You can walk them forward a little. If that feels too strong in your back, then lay yourself down to where your back is comfortable and you can rest your head onto your hand. Otherwise, we're in the Sphinx pose with the elbows about shoulder width. And we're drawing the shoulder blades back and lifting the front ribs, as many as we can. Tops of the feet press down, kneecaps lift. Squeeze the buttock muscles towards center. Really engage back of the body. The satisfaction of the breath. Good, and then see how you go pressing into your hands and lifting your elbows a little way off the floor. It's not comfortable for everyone to come up onto straight arms. Sometimes you can if you take your hands further forward. So listen to your back. We don't want to crunch the spine, but rather engage the muscle that is lifting, so the back core of the body, and feeling the extent of your back bend movement. Breathing deep. Nice work. Lower your front torso down. Keep yourself nice and long as you lower down. Hands underneath your shoulders. Elbows in, elbows back, and lifting. Good. And press your hips back towards your heels. And lifting up into all fours. Arching your spine up and down. Good. Walk your knees back a little bit. Walk your hands forward. We're going to keep the arms straight and take the chest towards the floor. So we've got the knees back under the line of the hips here. There'll be a big lengthening under the armpit, the front of the chest. Maybe your forehead reaches the floor to rest. Feel the flow of the breath. Allow more space into the armpits and shoulders. A more relaxed approach, even where the posture feels very challenging and awkward. Feel a spaciousness. Good. And then coming up onto your hands and knees, walk your knees forward a little. We're going to come up into downward facing dog pose. Resting. The toes under. Hips are going to be high. Heels are going to be high. But take your hips back towards the wall behind. And again, we're looking at that feeling of opening and lengthening the armpits. Try to keep your shoulder blades wide, your collarbones wide, so your head can just hang down. And the weight of your head is helping to lengthen the spine. Press the heels down towards the floor, and that's going to feel tight in the legs. And notice if it makes your shoulders come forward. So bend the legs again and take the shoulders towards the front of the knees. Relax your neck again.
And then try straightening your legs without losing that open feeling in the shoulders, the chest. It might feel more effective to pedal the legs, so bending one while you straighten the other. Depends on if you've stretched your hamstrings at all before this practice. Mm. Good. And then we're going to take little steps forward so that we can stand up. So even if this is a very awkward movement, just noticing if you can get your heels a little bit closer to the floor, you can swing your weight forward and back, play around. And when you run out of room or it just feels too awkward, roll up. Good. And looking up, Urdhva arms up, and Tadasana. Right. And we're going to take a little back bend here from your Tadasana position. It's really important to feel like you're using your legs powerfully. So have your feet hip width parallel. Reach up through the front of the legs. So lift the quadriceps, lift the front of the thighs, lift the belly. We're going to place the hands forward and rest them at the back of the pelvis. So there's a nice feeling of support there. And bring the elbows in and the elbows back, but we're also going to be gently drawing the tailbone forward. So the hands are helping with that slight pressure against the pelvis. Okay, so don't just bend into your back. Use your legs and make sure the legs feel like a powerful anchor. Good, and we're lifting the breastbone and looking up at the ceiling. Good. And then we're going to release from that position and gently, gently forward bending. Remember, we're going to hinge at the front of the hip crease and keep a little bit of a back bend shape for the spine so the skin, the fascia stay relaxed. But bending forward. And the head is going to just hang down or reach forward, depending on where your torso lands, so that the back of the neck feels long. Hands wherever they make sense, on your legs or the floor. Keep them soft. And breathing deeply. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Good, and then we're going to roll up. We're going to take the arms up. And we're going to repeat that back bend. So take the arms up and swing them back as though you're doing backstroke butterfly. Good. Now remember, as you place your hands, before you start back bending, really engage the power in your legs. So kneecaps are lifting, quadriceps are lifting. You feel that you're using all those lovely big muscles in your legs. Good. Front of the hips are lifting, belly's lifting. And we lift the breastbone up towards the ceiling. So don't do this to the point where it crunches your lower back, but rather feel the extent of your strong back bend. You want to feel strong in this pose. Satisfying breath. Good. And we're going to look forward. Release your body from that back bend. Coming into Tadasana. Good. And then your forward bend, Uttanasana. Make the back bend shape in your spine. Hinge forward at the front of the hip. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Good. Hands where they make sense, supporting on your leg or on the floor, but keep them soft. Good. And we really want to keep ease in the back here. Let the spine lengthen. Let the head just be nice and heavy. either reaching forward or reaching down, depending on the angle of your torso. So the back of your neck is long. See if you can straighten one of your legs. Ooh, maybe it doesn't go straight, but just finding that resistance. Good, and then bend that one and try with the other one. Good, but we keep that feeling of ease in the spine. Good, try again, straightening your legs. Good work, and we're going to roll up, so bend both your legs and roll on up. And the arms up. Urdhva Hastasana, looking up. Sides of the waist long, belly is long. Beautiful. We're going to do one more standing back bend, the preparation for Ustrasana, the camel pose. You can do the same thing with your hands if you find that really supportive. Or if you like to try a little further, you can take your hands down below the buttocks, so onto the thighs. But don't make your back bend without your legs. So lift your thighs. Feel those strong muscles in your legs. Good. Lifting the belly, lifting the breastbone. Always paying attention to your body. Does it feel right in the front of the body? Especially if you've had a muscular separation in the front of the body because of babies, then make sure you don't overdo this. Good, but we do want to be strong in our backs. People can reach further safely. Good, and we're going to release and rolling forward. Find as much length and ease as you can for your spine. Because I can reach my hands to the floor, I'm going to walk my hands as far forward as I possibly can without taking the hips forward. Good, and then try to straighten your legs. Lift the kneecaps. Lift the quadriceps. Nice work. And we're going to roll up. Good, arms up. Great. We're going to take a little arm bind behind. So you can hold your wrists or forearms or squeeze your arms along. Try and hold your elbows or prayer position, making your back bend. Good. We're going to start to bend forward a little, but as we do that, we're going to step the left foot back. It doesn't have to be a huge distance. Really good if you keep both your heels on the floor. And we're going to keep going forward with the front leg bend. We're going to reach as far forward as we can. The spine is at ease. We've got our back bend shape. The feet are really holding good balance here. And then test out straightening your front leg. Notice the pressure that puts in the muscles either side of your spine. They want to help. See if you can keep relaxing there, but straighten the front leg. So trying to isolate the action into the back of the right leg. Good. And then you're going to scoop the chest forward and up and lift up. You're going to release your arms to step forward, a little easier on the balance. And we'll step the left foot forward and balance on the right foot. You can put your left tiptoes onto the floor, or you could hold your knee, or even people might hold their foot. But we want to hold that balance and feel a supported spine. The pelvic floor lifts, lower front abdomen lifts. Breathing. Very nice work. Feet down under the hips. So I didn't suggest using a chair because we've got the arm bind. If you find that you're just too wobbly, don't bind the arms behind you, but use the chair in front of you when you go forward. Keep the arms up. You bring the arms behind you and bind them, holding your wrists or forearms or elbows or prayer position. If you're using your forearm, put the other forearm on top. Good. We're going to start to bend the torso forward. So hinging at the hip crease, so reaching forward with the chest, with the breastbone. But at the same time, you're going to step your right foot back. Doesn't have to be a huge distance, but feel balanced. Keep extending the belly and the chest forward. Good, bend your front leg. Feel that good balance. Feet are hip width side to side. Good. Now the arms are bound behind the back, and we're really trying to keep the back more relaxed with that movement in the shoulders. So as you start to straighten your front leg, you feel the back of the left leg tighten, the front leg tighten. Notice if the muscle fiber either side of your spine is tightening, and see if you can relax your spine, but keep straightening your front leg. Keep scanning between the two areas of your body, the back of the leg and your back. Relaxing your back, straightening your leg, relaxing your back, straightening your leg. Good. And to lift up, scoop the chest forward. You can bend your front leg a little, really hold your balance as you lift up. Release your arms and step forward and balance on your left leg. Good. You can bring your right tiptoes onto the floor in front, or you might be able to lift up and hold your knee or hold your foot. Good. And then release that side. Tadasana. Right. We're going to step out wide on the mat so you can see the device. You're facing the long edge of your mat. Nice big step. Turn the toes out. We're going to bend the knees and let the torso waterfall forward. Good. Bring your hands down onto the floor for support. If you don't reach the floor, you can have your hands up on your thighs. Right. We want to start our movement from side to side with one leg becoming straight, the other leg bending. If you've got quite a lot of movement here, move your hands to take the torso further as you keep them centered. Make sure your toes face out and that when you bend that knee, the knee is tracking in the same line as your foot. So this should not hurt your knees, and so don't go so far that it would do that. Good. Some people can squat down here. So that just means taking your sit bone to your heel. When I'm squatting on one side, I take my opposite leg up into the heel. So by all means, if that movement is in your range of movement. Nice. Come back to center and think about how to get from here to sitting on the floor. So do that now, and whatever movements you make, take notice of them. I hope that was a nice little journey to the floor. All right, we are going to sit up onto a blanket with the legs out along the mat. And you use your blanket behind the line of the legs. So the sit bones are starting to slide forward, like being on a slippery bit. If you get that foundation right, then you notice
your spine will be starting to already make a little bit of a back bend shape. Good. Bend in your left leg and hold the front of your left knee with your right hand or your right elbow crease, whichever one feels comfortable. Good. We want to turn the torso here. Now, if you've got extra belly or extra tissue between the thigh, basically between the bones, the ribs and the femur, then it might feel really good to lean back and see if you can turn all of that extra specialness around to the left side. So give yourself room. So if you don't have as much tissue between those bones, then you probably can do this in a more upright position. So see how it feels in your back, your hips. Let's see if you can turn your ribs a little more to the left, looking back left. Good. I'm going to press both of the legs down into the floor and feel for a moment as though you could lift your hips off the floor and really lengthen the spine and turn a little bit more. Good. And then releasing and come back to the front. Stretching out through your legs. Good. And then we'll do the right side. So hold with your hand or your elbow, left hand, left elbow, whichever makes sense. And we're turning to the right side this time. Good. And the idea is to turn the ribs as much as you can. So again, if you have tissue that presents, so the thigh muscle against the belly, then it prevents you from turning. Lean back a little bit, make more space. So give yourself space to find your full movement of your ribs. Good, and then we're going to really activate the legs. So press down through the back of the left leg, press down the right foot. So you could lift the sit bones up off the floor and really turn the ribs from there. Breathing deeply. Good, and then releasing that side. Nice work. And we're going to lay down. I'm just going to turn around so I can see my timer. Laying down with a blanket underneath the hips. Heel, left heel onto the right knee. And just relax the knees away from you. So what I'm doing is just letting the right knee fall out a little bit, but the left heel kind of holds my legs symmetrically. But the legs are relaxed here. Good. And then you're going to bring the right foot in closer to the left hip and see how you go. Closer to the left hip, and then see how you go, still relaxing the knees away. So if it's too far, then the feeling is too strong in your hip. Just take that bottom foot out from the blanket a little bit more. Otherwise, closer and closer to the blanket, to underneath the left hip, then the bigger the movement will be for the hip flexors and external rotation. Good. And then releasing that side. Put your back down. So you've got neutral legs again, feeling centered. And just put your right heel up on your left knee. Good. And then just find that position where the legs will just balance. So you let your left knee fall out a little bit. You end up with the weight of the legs pretty evenly balanced from side to side of the pelvis. And you can relax it just there. That might be plenty of external rotation for your hip. If you need more, you start to bring the left foot, the one that's on the floor, closer to the blanket, aiming for the position underneath the right hip so that the legs can sink down towards the floor. So you figure out where that works best in your body. Good, and then lifting up. A little moment in bamboo pose. So with the blanket under the hips, balance your knees into your chest, place the blanket where it feels like it really makes that easy, and then the legs can go straight up. Elbows out from the shoulders and backs of the hands towards the floor. In the lunge of the posture. The belly hollow and the gut relaxed. Shoulders relaxed. And then releasing. Put your feet down on the floor so you can take out your blanket. A little floor twist. Inside edges of the feet together, knees together. Lift the hips, swing them left, and knees go right. In your full core awareness, bring the legs back up to center. Lift the hips, swing them right, knees go left. A nice pose. See why I do it all the time. And then using your core awareness, coming back up to center and If you would like to stay for Shavasana, it'll be 10 minutes. If you need to finish your practice now, hug your knees into your chest. Rock a little from side to side so your spine feels long. Taking some deep breaths and rolling over to your side. You can come up to sitting. Namaste to you. People who are staying for Shavasana. Lower your legs if you haven't already. So we try and get quite a straight line, but sometimes putting support under the body feels beneficial, like a blanket under the thighs or under the head. The straight line we seek, that feeling of symmetry, helps to make a little more space for the nervous system. So just scanning the body and letting obvious places of tension or imbalance, let them relax. The breath be a little deeper and longer. And notice the moment between the exhalation becoming the inhalation, between the inhalation becoming the exhalation. What is present in those moments? Feel the flow and rhythm of the breath in your toes, your feet, your ankles, your legs, your knees, and thighs, and hips, belly, buttock, lower back, middle back, and your shoulder blade, and your shoulders. Feel the wave of the breath in the ribs, the torso, the armpit, and shoulders, upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, arms, thumb, and back of your neck, throat, base of your skull, scalp, forehead, around your eyes, eyebrows, nose, lips, tongue, jaw, ears. Feel the wave of the breath in the whole body. The whole body. Feel the support under your body, temperature of the air in your face, in the breath. Feel your body being still and what each little movement feels like coming out of that stillness. Stretch or move, whatever way supports you. to come up to sitting. Sitting with your hands in front of your heart. Feeling the splendor of your spine, ease of your shoulders, and the flow of the breath. Take the feeling of the process. Namaste.